Hey everyone, welcome to day 15 of the 150 days no excuse coding challenge. Today, I'm very happy that I did start the stream early and let's set the agenda for the today's stream. But before that, I want to congratulate myself that I have at least stayed consistent for 15 days and I know that the progress that I have made it is very negligible, but the important thing is I have been consistent on coding at least, which I am very proud of. So so from tomorrow onwards I will try to like make more progress in the streams from the last 10 days or more 10 days or more. I have been making very little to no progress, although I am learning something every day, but the learning, it is a individual thing, it is not enough. The most important thing is whatever I am reading, I have to implement it into the project, or else the knowledge that I can gain from it, from that reading or learning part, doesn't happen. So today I will try to implement stuff to the project, and although I have better energy than yesterday night, even if I don't have that much energy, I will try to at least make progress on this project while. Okay, so before that, let's start the timer and the stream as well. Means the stream has already started. I will generally just start the stream, means timer. Okay, so we haven't implemented any means utility classes, so we have to implement these things. First utility classes, then what do we have to implement? We already have the base styles inset. We already have the styles, global styles in the root. So let's look at. So we have built a very strong foundation for your styles.css. So far, we have organized the brain, that is the design tokens, the foundation, the base reset. Okay, the brain is the design tokens. Okay, what are the design tokens? I think these are the design tokens. Colors. The foundation is a base reset. Okay, these are the base reset base styles, which are the foundations. I think so. And the so we haven't actually implemented it yet. The foundation and the Lego bricks. So there are two key sections remaining that are essential for a professional scalable file. Let's explore them. So one is the layout layer, the grid, while utility classes handle small things. The layout layer defines the major regions of your page. This is where you use CSS grid or flexbox to build the skeleton that holds your mem components logic. These classes are usually unique and used only once or twice. Example, main grid or sidebar layout. We often use layout patterns here, like a sidebar pattern that automatically stacks on mobile. Okay. So the animation and transition layer. To make a site feel premium, you need consistent movement. Instead of writing custom transitions inside every component, instead of writing custom transitions, okay, inside every component, you define global motion tokens. You create variables for timings, example, transition fast, and apply them to states like hover and focus. This ensures that every button and link on your site moves with the same personality. The full scalable roadmap. Here is exactly how your styles.css looks when it's 100% complete. So first one is the variables. What do we have in the variables? So in the variables we have the design tokens, then the design colors, okay, colors and types. Okay, what is types? I think he's talking about typography and space. Okay, base reset, global defaults and browser overrides. So global defaults and browser overrides. Which is the base class reset. It is the foundation of your CSS file. Without it, your BEM components would be fighting against the browser's secret built-in styles. So what is the base as reset? So think of it like preparing a canvas before painting. Every browser, Chrome, Safari, Firefox, comes with its own default user agent style sheets. So these defaults add margins to body text, padding to lists, and specific font sizes to headings. So these defaults, what do they do? They add the margins to body text, padding to lists, okay, margins to body text, padding to lists, and specific font sizes to headings. The reset zeroes this out so you start from a blank slate. The base layer then applies your brand-wide global rules. What should be in it? What should be in it? Here is a breakdown of the essential elements of this section. So, box sizing. Okay, ensures padding and borders don't grow the element's width. Okay, body setup. Okay, so the mysterious gap. So the mysterious gap that is appearing below the image, it is because since it is a inline inline element, the browser treats it like the inline text. So there are certain letters like Y, G, like Y, G, P, Y, G, P. So there are certain letters like Y, G, or P, and the bottom of those letters, to having those letters, we have space on the bottom of it. So that's why, since it is treating it like a inline text, it is giving the space, but we want it to treat it like a display block. While components like your newsletter are independent pieces, the layout layer defines the macro structure, the big cells that hold those pieces in a single style.css. The section focuses on high-level positioning. The goal is to create reusable patterns. The goal is to create reusable patterns for how element sits on the page. So the goal is to create reusable patterns for So there are two things. One is explicit and intrinsic. So from the beginning, we tell how many columns to have inside a grid. This is the explicit, and implicit means we let the content decide how many columns it needs to have. Okay, so we let the content and the screen side decide how many columns to have. It is intrinsic. So one thing is this one, grid template columns. So repeat out of it, min max 300. So, okay. So this is an example of a intrinsic grid. So it lets us create as many columns as it can fit, but the minimum width it should be is 300 pixel. Maximum is how many it can fit. Okay, because it requires zero media queries. So I think I should be using more grid. So we usually think about the layout in two ways. One is the macro layout, another is the micro layout. The macro layout, it is the external thing. So in our case, how this um, sign up form, so newsletter sign up form, it sits on the center of the screen. How this sign up form sits on the center of the screen, and the micro layout, it is how inside this box, inside this card, our two main things take up space and how they are proportionally they are divided and how much each one is taking space. So each box, how much each box is taking the space inside it. See, so the content is taking less space, but let's not. So we do not need to worry about the spacing for now. So external is where the component sits on the page. Okay, external, it is the one where the component sits on the page, and internal, it is how items are arranged inside the component. Put the image next to the text. How the items are arranged. How the items are arranged inside the component. How they are arranged. Text structures. So these are the content. This is the image one. Okay, macro layout centering the component. To center your component perfectly on the page, you can use a layout utility or a dedicated layout section. Using grid on a wrapper element is often the cleanest way to do this. Display grid place item center L full screen center. Okay, layout. Display grid place items place content center main height 100 vh. So let's see. I think it's good. So this one is the what? External layout. So we now want the internal. Okay, let's go it step by step. Load inside the components. Okay, micro load which is inside the component. Now let's look at your one for two for idea. You can apply this type. Okay, so the micro layout one is the one which we are uh, applying it directly to the BEM block. So the classes that we have defined before, we will apply them the BEM block, and if there is any external layout, like we just centered our whole card on the middle of the screen. We used a separate utility class to it. We used a separate utility class. I would not say utility class, but because it is not a single purpose. It can be used somewhere else also. It is reusable. I would not say reusable. What is this? Layout. Okay. So okay. So let's look at your one over two. So this one is the layout. Components. Select. What do we have? Okay, we have two things. Display grid. Okay. Grade template columns. FR to FR. Good. Gap where space is large, I think so. Margin where space is large. How to change the order of them? How to change the order of them? So to reverse them. So when we are in mobile align item center. Okay, align item center. Okay, align center. How to okay. How to change the order of the grid items on in the order of grid item instances using the order property by default grid item follow the order. So I'm extremely sorry for the noise outside. So it is a lot better now. So you can change the order of grid items in CSS using the order property. By default, grid items follow the order. So by default, grid items follow the order they appear in the HTML source code. Order is 0. To reorder them, assign a different integer value to the order property on individual grid items. Positive values, place items in the visual order. Negative value, place items earlier. Moves an item to the front. Items with the same order are displayed in the original source order in the swaps. So, so how can we use the, okay, let's say components. So these are the components. So we have the newsletter image and newsletter content. Newsletter image, newsletter con content, newsletter image and newsletter. Okay, so we want this order only when is 6. So this order which we are seeing right now, uh, it does not affect like so it doesn't affect the accessibility order, or it is just the visual change. It only affects the visual layout. So screen readers say they will read the content in the order as it is in the HTML page only. They will read it as it is in this HTML page. So the positioning with the grid row or grid column, it takes the priority. So it takes the priority over the order items with explicit positioning are placed first. Okay. So use grid auto flow column if you want items to flow top down instead of left right. So if you use a utility class for an internal layout, you might find yourself repeating the same utilities every time you use that component. Okay, so utilities are a single purpose. So every time we are using that component, we are repeating the same utilities, and the purpose of utilities is not to repeat them every time we use that component. It's used only one place. So by putting the grid logic inside the newsletter, so by putting the grid logic inside the newsletter block, you ensure that every time you drop a newsletter into your HTML, it automatically knows. So every time you drop a newsletter into your HTML, it automatically knows how to arrange its internal pieces, the image and the text. So we use the utility classes for layout. We have a very small generic adjustment that isn't unique to the newsletter, like adding a bit of extra margin or centering a specific piece of text inside one version of the card, making it responsive without immediately to make this tool is scalable. You want to make sure that on a tiny phone screen don't become too squished. There is a way to tell the grid try to be too you you don't have there is a way to tell the grid try to be far too effort, but if you don't, at least of which would you like to see the grid wrap trick? Realize micro items proceeds from vertical to horizontal. So, so that's it for today, guys. So, I know there is 10 more minutes, but I want to just review what we have learned. So, we have learned about two types of layouts. So, one is the micro one, which is the external layout, and another is the macro one, which is the external layout, and another one is the micro layout, which is the internal one. So, micro layout we have, and the macro layout we have to use it inside the components, which so the BEM block. So it is the correct time to use the BEM classes which we have defined earlier. So for only the macro layout, we used like what do we call layout a layout structure. We have separately defined it for only the macro one, but for the micro ones, we will use the BEM classes. I know that it doesn't look that good here. We have to somehow like take all this gap here, and we have to somehow like make this width max width to less than 450 or somewhat. How much is this max width? Let's see. This one is like 900 pixel. Let's see how much is this actually. I think so. Maybe let's put it a max width of newsletter, right? Max width of 900 pixel. Yes, later, right? Okay, it looks better. It looks way better now. L screen. Okay, so we have centered it, but why is it like I want it to be centered? It is 900 pixel. So newsletter. Utility layout utility. Is it layout utility? Yes, this one is the layout. I think this one comes into the layout utility. Maybe don't know, but dot. What should I use this? I don't think so. This one is a layout utility. This one can be used every time. Margin. All sides, right? And great. It's looking better. So we want padding. How much space? Let's change the background color a little bit. Where is it? Yes. Can surface, right? Page. Burlywood. What Burlywood page, right? So where did we use it? Body background color. Okay, got it, got it. Border radius 10 pixel. 10. Okay, this is the minor detail, and we want to layout or spacing. Typography. No, I think it will be layout. So that's it for today, guys. Uh, Hope you had a great day, and thanks for joining me. We'll meet again tomorrow. Bye.